Hello, everybody. Today, I would like to give a short introduction to sentence variety, and I've added the topic of zombies. Now, it may seem odd to have a topic like this, but I do this because, first of all, I think zombies are interesting, and second of all, I like to do this because if I can use academic patterns and write about zombies, I can use those same patterns and write about anything. I can write about mental health, politics, psychology, economics, marketing strategies, you name it, I can write about it with the same patterns. So let's learn a bit through zombies. So first of all, you need to understand a little bit about phrases and clauses. So a phrase is a group of two or more words that express a single idea, but don't usually form a complete sentence. So you'll notice there's no verb here. A fabulous zombie, at the library, in the garden, soccer players. These are groups of words that have a meaning, but there's no verb, so they cannot be a clause. They are phrases. They are pieces of sentences. So then we get into clauses, and there's two main types of clauses, the independent clause and the dependent clause. So the independent clause has a subject, a verb, and a complete thought. That's the important point. Zombies aren't the sharpest crayons in the box. That zombie is wearing a tutu. I've got the verbs in yellow. But a dependent clause contains a subject and a verb, but no complete thought. So if you ever meet up with a zombie, it's not finished. We need more information. While the zombies were chasing me, again, we need more information. But there is a subject in the first one, you, and the verb meet up. The second one, zombies were chasing. So we do have subjects and verbs, but they don't form a complete thought, so they're called dependent clauses. They will depend on an independent clause to form a complete sentence. So let's put some of these together now. Well, first of all, well, there are four main types of sentences. The first one is the simple sentence, and this has one independent clause, so that there are no dependent clauses here. It has to be a complete thought. So, Hannah hates zombies. Tabitha and Keiko saw a hungry zombie in the kitchen. Naturally, they took selfies with it. The incredibly thoughtless and unfashionable zombie clumsily entered my cramped living room. I fainted. So these are all simple sentences, even though some are short, some are longer, but they have one subject and one verb. They are independent clauses and simple sentences. All right, so now we could get into the compound sentence, which has two independent clauses joined by A, B, or C. There are three ways to form a compound sentence. A coordinating conjunction, for example, a fanboy. Some books call it fanboys. For, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. And these usually have a comma before them. Or B, a conjunctive adverb. It's also called an adverbial conjunction. These are however, therefore, nevertheless, moreover, furthermore, on the other hand, in contrast. Words like that. And the last way is just a semicolon. It is possible to make a compound sentence with just a semicolon. Not very common, but once in a while, you'll see it. So here's some examples. The first one is the fanboy, a coordinated conjunction, but. Kent is fascinated by zombies, but Emmy hates them. The second one is a conjunctive adverb. Max turned into a zombie, therefore Emmy hates him. Now look at the punctuation here. This is important. We need that semicolon and we need the comma. So here we have the semicolon and here we have the comma. Those are important for that pattern. And the last one is simply a semicolon, which is not very common, like I said. Max eats brains. Emmy wants to keep hers. And we have to make sure that those two clauses tie together. We could put a period there and make two sentences, but this is possible as another way to do things. All right, so now let's take a look at complex sentences. In a complex sentence, we need one dependent clause and an independent clause. We could have more dependent clauses, but we need at least one of each. So I made the yellow parts here showing the subordinating conjunction because dependent clauses begin with a subordinating conjunction. So here we have after. Now, that dependent clause can come first after Max had turned into a zombie, comma, Hannah immediately ran away. Or we could put the independent clause first. Hannah immediately ran away after Max had turned into a zombie. They're both fine. We can also put a dependent clause inside an independent clause as extra information. In this case, with the one that says Max, who was a dapper fellow, the main clause is Max somehow turned into a zombie. The dependent clause is, in this case, it's also called a relative clause or an adjective clause inside. Who is the subject, the pronoun referring to Max? And we're describing Max. And it's extra information in this case, so the two commas are necessary because we can take it out. Now in the fourth example, in my opinion, zombies that can speak are not proper zombies. That can speak is the dependent clause describing the zombie, so it's another adjective clause. You'll notice there are no commas here because we need this information to determine which zombies. So we do not have the commas, and especially don't put a comma before a that. So all of these are complex sentences in different ways. And then we get to the most complex example here, and this is the compound complex sentence in which we have two independent clauses and one or more dependent clauses. Okay, so here are some examples. Hannah realized, independent, that Max was a zombie, dependent, so she decided to avoid him, independent, because she wanted to survive, dependent. Or George Romero, who directed the best zombie films, was wonderfully creative. Therefore, he was very successful. Many films and TV series about zombies have been made over the years, but the best ones are those of George Romero because his stories focus on the living rather than the dead. So as you notice, these are getting longer and more clauses, so you really have to be careful here with your use of conjunctions and punctuation. All right, well, let's put all of this together and let's look at a paragraph about zombies, which has sentence type variety. Of all the creatures in horror movies and TV programs, I like zombies the best. In fact, I have liked zombies and watching zombie movies since I was young. When I was a teenager, I saw George Romero's Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and Day of the Dead. Those films are classics. Because zombies are dead, they don't feel anything. And in the movies, they can be defeated by damaging their brains. The characters in the films can shoot, cut, or pierce zombies' brains to stop them. I know this is violent, but I don't mind because I also know that it's not real. Now, The Walking Dead is popular. The zombies in this program are called walkers, and they can be stopped in the same way as they are in the other zombie movies. Yes, on the surface, the zombie genre is morbid. However, in reality, the themes involve the human element. The focus is on society and on the living because we need to confront ourselves. That is deep.